Hi there, Mike McArthur from the Oshkosh Public Library here, ready to dish out some more Librarian Learns. This is the series where I take a look at a bit of Oshkosh history that either I've wondered about myself or someone has asked me while I'm working at the library. Or in this case, I drove right by a building and wondered what it was. Today, I'm going to be talking about the Oshkosh Recreation Department and Gymnasium. For this video, I got to speak with former Recreation Director Al Wenning. Al began with the department in 1981 and served as its director from 1987 until his retirement in 2020. The Oshkosh Recreation Department began in April of 1916 when the city passed a playground and recreation tax. The goal was to provide use of school buildings and grounds for auxiliary, educational, and recreational activities. Its first season began in 1916 and consisted of just 6 locations at the city that were open for only a total of 42 days throughout the summer. But that original program proved to be wildly successful. For those 42 days, a whopping 46,557 kids attended programs there. That worked out to just over 1,100 people a day. So here's Al Wenning to talk a little bit about what those early programs looked like and kind of the drive to create these programs in the first place.
At that time in 1916, it primarily consisted of just 6 playgrounds that they had. Those playgrounds, though, were quite extensive, where they ran from the after-school hour up until almost 10 o'clock at night, where it kind of served as an after-school program, so to speak, for kids, because a lot of the working folks were working in the factories or wherever, and they had to drop their children off because they had to have some kind of care for them. It started out very slow. It was just these 6 playground sites. And those sites, they're called playgrounds, but they were at schools in the community where the kids were already there, so they would just stay there after school, and then the parents could come and pick them up at the end of the day, at the end of their work day. As far as the activities themselves, honestly, they haven't changed a whole lot. I mean, the primary purpose of providing programs is for people to sign up and have fun. That's what recreation is. It's the fun things that you do in your time, your own leisure time, the time that you want to do something that you prefer to do versus that you might have to do. Just providing fun has always been an overlying theme throughout all the years.
The Recreation Department is administered by the Oshkosh Area School District, which controls now, starting from just those 6 schools, now includes 14 elementary schools, 5 middle schools, 2 high schools, an outdoor recreation center, the Alberta Kimball Auditorium, and the recreation gym. And it's really the gym that got me interested. It's located at 425 Division Street. So this recreation gym opened in January of 1927, along with a now gone vocational school. The vocational school actually was located in between the gymnasium and the beach building, which still stands today. It's a parking lot right now, because of course it is. But when these opened in 1927, this was a big deal. It expanded the Oshkosh High School complex, which now consisted of the gym, the vocational school, the manual beach building, and the original high school building, which is now City Hall. All of these buildings were actually connected by a heating system where the heat was created on one side and then pushed through a series of vents and fans to heat all of the buildings, which was kind of interesting. It had a 60 by 90 foot court, could seat about 1,500 people, and had bleacher seating for about 500, although they packed a lot more people into that than those numbers. It also had a large stage which they used for theatrical productions and plays and lectures. That has been boarded up and is actually now the offices for the Recreation Department. And I'm going to hand it off to Al one more time to talk about some of the unique features of this building.
So, one of the unique aspects of the gym floor itself is it's a suspended wood floor, and by that I mean the wooden planks of the floor are placed on top of 2x4s. They're not just laid flat on concrete, so that there's a little bit of a spring to it And it has always proven through the years to be the most popular playing floor in the community. Yeah, well, one of the very unique aspects is there was a shooting range down in the lower level. That has since been closed down for a number of years. But back in the day, way back in the day, the Oshkosh Police Department used to use that for their target practice until they got their more advanced facilities. But then various sport clubs throughout the community continued to use the shooting range downstairs. And crannies as far as storage areas. One unique area is that on the gym floor itself, on each side of the floor, there's trap doors that open up that go down to the lower level, and that's where they stored a lot of their equipment. So they'd have to haul it up, coming up a ladder off the lower levels to bring it up to the gym floor area. Yeah, the side court still had the old cranks to lower up and down the hoops with the old wooden backboards themselves. It turned into a somewhat dangerous kind of operation with those cranks, because if you let that crank go and it would spin fast, that thing would come down way too fast, and it was kind of dangerous to say the least.
I'm in both the frame, right?
But yeah, they definitely just recently got that upgraded where they're all nice glass backboards now with a nice electric system for raising and lowering the baskets. So major upgrade to say the least. But yeah.
So for years, this was really considered the premier sports facility gym in the area. And it definitely had its fair share of big sporting events back in its heyday. Probably the best known was it was the home court of the Oshkosh All-Stars. The Oshkosh All-Stars were a local basketball team who were part of the National Basketball League. This was the organization that predated the NBA. The All-Stars played in the 30s and 40s and were very successful and won several championships. But I think the most notable historical event involving the All-Stars and the gym was in 1936. Where the All-Stars, an all-white team from Oshkosh, Wisconsin, played the New York Renaissance, an all-black team from New York. And the first of a series of games were played at this very gym in 1936, which is kind of crazy. The All-Stars went on to win that series, but really the fact that those two teams played at all is what makes that so significant to me. Here's Al one last time to talk about some of the other sports events and activities that went on throughout the years at the Gymnasium.
Probably the biggest one that occurred here was back in 1932. The heavyweight world champion, Max Schmeling, fought an exhibition boxing match out here. In the gym floor out there, there's still some indentations, for lack of a better word, that shows where the boxing ring was set up back in the day. So boxing was very popular back in those days. And again, Max Schmeling, world champion of the world, came here, fought an exhibition match. There was the Harlem Globetrotters came in and played an exhibition game at one time. Probably one of the things that occurred regularly that a lot of the older folks in Oshkosh can relate to quite well is the Friday night dances. Apparently that was very popular, where almost every single Friday night they had a dance here in the Gymnasium as part of the high school activity. Because back in that day, that was a primary entertainment opportunity for the kids at that time. And I hear residents that talk about those dances all the time. And they just said that the place was filled to capacity because it was just a very popular activity. Well, we're sitting here in the Hall of Fame room, and since 1982, we established a softball Hall of Fame to recognize the individuals that have played softball through the years, going back to the fast pitch era, all the way through the current slow pitch era. And again, there's like over 100 individuals that have their plaques on the wall here that were recognized again for their excellence in playing that sport. Besides the plaques on the wall, there's some other memorabilia that's shown, including a lot of the different jerseys that were worn by some of the great teams of yesteryear. And then in terms of the department itself, Oshkosh Recreation Department is always going to provide for the recreation needs of the community. I think the community should take advantage of checking it out because there's all kinds of great opportunities for them to participate in.
So hey, I learned something. If you like these videos, want to see more, hit like, hit subscribe, share, view. If you have comments to add, please put them in the comment section below. If you want to contact me directly, you can reach me at the links in the description or just by stopping by the library if you happen to live in Oshkosh. And with that, I'll see you later.